I am.
How are you?
Good. There's food there.
Oh,
I'm trying to eat before I get here.
perfect.
So how's the farm life going with all these storms every day?
This could like end at any moment. That'd be fine.
I know Kelly had last week, she scheduled her pictures and it got canceled because of rain. Yeah, we gotta get you a name tag.
Oh,
And then Monday, they rescheduled for Monday and it poured rain, so they came out and did them on Tuesday at your guys' place. No, or actually, was it Tuesday or Wednesday? I think it might have been Wednesday. Because Tuesday, they were gonna do it again, and clouded up right before pictures and.
it's been so spotty. Well, like, we ended up bailing injuries last night. Actually, it was this morning. I mean, like 12:30, there was supposed to be a storm, so we were waiting out there, and it like rained a little bit, came in, and then this next storm just sucked all the dew right back out. It was drier than when I got out there, so I just finally went to bed. Yeah, and at 5 this morning, it rained again.
Yeah, I know, I woke up at about 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
The dogs were whining because the lightning was hitting and they could hear the thunder.
Oh yeah, what a show last night.
Yeah.
Oh man. And yeah. Yeah, then yeah, there was quite a rainstorm then. Yeah, 5 o'clock this afternoon. Looks to be another one making its way up the middle of the valley.
Yeah. Well, it's got 50 to 60% chance today and tomorrow, so we'll see.
Yeah. I think we're gonna hold off on cutting until Monday again.
I know the other day when it just poured here, I knew people in Baker said it didn't do anything.
It's super spotty. Cause it poured at Kendry's and then nothing at Caleb's house. And like it's, yeah, then I just went out to Trial Mountain to change pivots, got back here, and not a drop out there. Well, then that storm that came through, well, it was Monday that soaked everything up. It rained really hard down on the farm fields over there and then nothing up on the ridges. It is crazy.
And we'll see if anybody joins us tonight, or if it's just the, I'm working with myself, is Molly stuck in traffic coming out of Boise.
Uh-oh.
There was a wreck. Howdy.
We went.
Good.
Good. How are you, Tony? Good, how are you? Good.
And so she was gonna from home, but now she might not even make it for that. And he's at a rodeo. Those are all people that were invited, but they might all be busy. Except for Amanda. Yeah, I told them, I said, we're gonna be here for a couple hours, please leave the gates open.
Oh, you got one? Yeah, Andrew.
Yeah, I gave them one with their names already filled out.
Oh, perfect.
I just didn't write on yours, state your name.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Justin. Good, good.
How are you, Joseph? Great. Good. How are you? Yeah, great.
There's food, guys. Want to grab it before you start? You got 10 minutes still.
Thank you.
I think it's chicken, bacon, garlic or something, or chicken garlic. And all meat. Be our last board meeting in this room.
Oh, really?
This is going to become a staff fitness room because we're going to be moving special ed into the fitness room.
Okay.
With the good kids and the high needs child. It's awful hard to do in that little room. If you didn't have he's actually put 3 holes in the wall with his head.
Oh.
And so that for this, we got rubber padding, rubber mat coming for this that will go down over the carpet, but we're not gonna glue it this time, it's glued it over there, so now we can pull the carpet up. And, but that way there'll be a rubber floor over there too, because he's had things to throw stuff down, and he's had off the floor.
You see those dozer go out?
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, one struck over there, or still a cow sitting. Logan McCrane was talking to Dad, and he said last night they had 12 up around that lake.
Oh, really?
Through that surrounding area. I heard of it. We had one about 2.5 miles northwest of our hill pasture the day before or yesterday. They got something like that. They actually dipped out of the reservoir over it. Which I was like, please. Please. Great idea. But I think Dustin Stevens said he had one time they had a fire up there, he had to dip out of Van Patten. He had to go and bucket back everything they took out with his helicopter. Really? Van Patten. Wow. So I was thinking about it, I'm like, God, Tidewater here, just keep track of the buckets. Go to Phillips. Yeah, fill it back up.
Maybe a couple more buckets.
I don't know, the helicopter ranges, we were in worse shape than we thought. Yeah, it's been crazy the last 4 days. Oh my gosh.
Oh, we got a call. I was in bed sleeping Tuesday night, half asleep. And 10:30 chase calls and hill behind the house on fire in Huntington, put it down.
Oh,
And so we're driving, and you can see the lighting just everywhere. And well, the fire was actually between Firewall Bend and First Creek Overpass. But it was on the other side of the interstate, just from his house, the whole thing was lit up red, so it looked like it was coming. Well, they called us back about time to get Baker. Don't worry about it. Because Saturday night, Kelly went to the Shrine game, and he woke up at 10:30 at night, and her truck won't start. And Bailey's with her, and they're trying to jump it, and they can't get it started, so I begrudgingly dragged myself out of bed and go to Baker with Susie and get there, put my jumper cables on it, messed with a little bit. Finally, I told her, just get out of the seat, let me in there. And she goes to get out of the seat, just out of habit, she went to put it park. She goes, oh God, it was in park. I was like, you gotta be kidding. I actually looked there and said, next time they take your hair, don't let them do it long, please.
well, years ago, your wife was at your folks' place here in town, and she was spun out. She'd been four-wheel drive, it was one of your Maroon pickups. I stopped and said, Susie, you want me to pull you out? She just melted down, couldn't go anywhere. So I hook up to her and I start pulling, and pretty soon I'm just like, this is pulling hard, but we're going nowhere. I said, Susie, are you out of park and neutral? I mean, just back up with me. She's like, oh, I was in drive. We were towing each other.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that'll help.
Yeah, I had a good one yesterday because I was on the phone with Tony Humphreys about an issue and not school related, but he's called me to update me. So I'm talking to him. I stopped at Wild Horse. I had to go home to meet Amanda. And I stopped and swiped my card, grabbed the deal, throw it in the gas tank, turn around. It says, please rerun your card. So I swiped again, reached around, squeezed the handle, and stood there for a minute. Oh crap, it's gas. And so I yanked it out, and I'm all worried. And I called Delbert. And, what happens if you put about 5 gallons of gas in with 30 gallons of diesel? And but in this meantime, my mind's going, I'm just going to keep diluting as much as I can. Well, after I called Delbert, he calls back. He says, when I talked to you, he said they wouldn't drive with 5 gallons of gas. And so I kept pumping the diesel, and pretty soon I went, I don't think I ever pushed the button to start the gas. And so it ran to 30 gallons to shut off. It was $125. So I started again to put another 4.4 gallons in it. I'm going, it wouldn't have held 34 gallons with a 36 gallon tank if I had put 5 gallons of gas in it. So yeah, I told my wife when I got home, so that's my learning lesson about doing something important. So
My granddad did that with Jeff, put Jeff in the diesel tank. That's expensive.
I did that. Well, I didn't do it. The guy down at the station here did it years ago. I borrowed a lift from Chris Colton, and I gave him the keys because he had a padlock on the gas. So I gave him the key. He went out and unlocked the hydraulic fluid cap and pumped it full of gas in the hydraulic fluid. So I had to drain the whole thing, and I had to go pay for the refill versus hydraulic fluid.
My brother filled the swather, he called my dad. years ago, Philly, here in town, when it was still a card lot. He's like, Swather only took like 3 gallons. And I was like, okay, I'll be right down there, put it in the radiator. But the whole time, it was Justice. The whole time he was down there, he gets there and he's got a wad of cash in his hand. And it's like, what is that? Where'd that come from? He's like, well, people coming off freeway didn't know it was a card lock. Can't get the baker anywhere, so he said they would pay me $20 and I'd use my card. I had like $150.
I've been there a lot of times back then when people would come by and have gas. Something.
Hey, Colby. Good, how are you? Yes. Okay, nope, shouldn't be a problem. We got 3 here, so you should be here, we'll have a quorum. All right, thanks, Colby. Bye.
Yeah, I don't have a message from Drew, so
Well, we need 3 anyway?
we've got a quorum to start with. The only bad part is Drew's supposed to get sworn in again, because he got reelected.
We get forged in.
It's a good thing it is negotiations time, because they wouldn't miss things, know what had happened.
Oh, my. John, what?
Yeah, I was waiting for Amanda as well.
She's up there.
Well, that's who I invited.
Oh. Is anybody else on? Oh, nobody's on that.
No.
It's impressive. You can read them. I saw those things like, wow, there's a lot of people on.
There's Drew.
Hey, Drew, how are you?
Good. How you guys doing? How's the hay going?
Oh, fun.
I don't do that.
I'm not sure.
I watch these storms on my weather app and I watch them, it's just like kind of go right around.
Yeah.
Hey, did you come from Baker? I've been back for a little, it wasn't orange, but it's looked really dark over there at my house. Not dark. I think it's getting over there and then over here. I mean, yeah, it's like there's huge cells.
Yeah.
What morning effect? Did you see that?
I was gonna blame you, Drew. I thought you cut.
Like, gosh, darn it. Why is he gonna do that?
Yeah, why is he gotta do that?
It's pretty crazy. They're just kind of like,
Oh,
I haven't gotten anything.
Did you get anything last night? What? Well, we had worked at our house for a half hour.
Oh, it was driving my house this morning. I drive past Upward and it's like, yeah, it's just like, it's so localized. But did you get dumped on tonight?
Last night.
No, I haven't got this evening.
Oh, just barely got the windshield wet.
I mean, that man has big drops, not very long, but it's. So you put your major closets?
We are, yep. It's full of tech right now.
Is it? In your what?
Those old grain storage facility down here in edge of town, next to the railroad.
Okay.
Ones that have, they call
I saw a retriever truck. From a distance, I didn't know who was driving. I was like,
them. Yeah, that thing's been a game changer.
it probably works pretty good for those squeeze packs, huh?
Well, we've gotten where we were doing that OT 1 year, and I started hauling just into town with mail wagon. I told Dad, I said, we got so used to side stacking on the field. I said, that feels like a 30-mile trip. It's just like, oh, it's taking forever. Yeah, you can just stack them around the edge of the field. I mean, we were programmed, and we edged 43 blocks, and he just hauled them down, let them sweat, and then put them in the barn.
Nice.
Yeah, it works really good. Really good. It's not so much fun on a 90-degree day. It's a lot hotter in the back of that barn. Those doors stay open all the time.
You have that stuff sold?
Yep. Yep.
Can you hear me? Can you log on?
Yeah, got everything sold so far. So,
Well, I don't see you I mean, I don't see it come popping up yet. That's why I was wondering. I want to make sure I had it.
I think we found the 200 acres all at once in one month. So I'm gonna scale that back.
Yeah, 200 acres of town.
Yeah, we planted it in 5 days. And it was already cut in 5 days.
Is that a crop every new year after year, or do you have to plant it every year?
Well, we have to plant it every year. Yeah.
Is it, what is tap? I don't know.
It's actually a grain, for like,
Yeah.
and stuff. But we use it for horse hay because it's real low sugar. If we get, I don't know how you get it, but I've got some that's great, some that's not, but it's supposed to be really low sugar.
I don't.
And basically any horse with diabetes can use it.
It's pretty smart. You don't feed them the orchard grass, they got diabetes.
Well, I had 2 fields of orchard tested low sugar.
Really?
No. One of my youngest fields was the highest sugar. So. but
Orchard grass is pretty high.
It can be, it's not educating the horse, it's the owner. I mean, the horse will eat it if it's hungry enough on it.
So I goes on autopilot mode, come into this board meeting, I just, I get to it, I just like, so now. I put, like in my mind, it's like, I have a board meeting. I turn to go to the water district. Jake was somebody who's on the water district. I think all three guys on there? Yeah. It's Lance, that used to be on the board.
Yeah, ever since they updated things on it.
I know the guy, that's the same guy on the board that I'm. Yeah. It's like.
It's a control issue. I mean, right?
Well, I'm calling you now from the meeting, so we'll see if that works. Oh, there you popped up.
It's mostly organizational.
No, not pop up. It's not calling you. I'm gonna exit it and restart it
Back to you.
because it's not letting me. Maybe you just left out. Hang on for a second.
Everybody's got their role.
Yeah, I wish we could just go back to Zoom.
You came in at a fun time. Personal was not bad. What do you want to call it? Of course, you guys have to. You guys are gonna. I know, it's 1 year. Yeah.
No, that's why I'm wondering what I'm gonna do. 'Cause I'm gonna, it shows all of you invited. And 3 yeses, 4 waiting. So what I'm wondering, going your head.
East Wild Fork and West Wild Fork.
And
The East Wild Fork. But Inland Lake.
from 7 to 9 to 9. And that's kind of idea of passcode.
So it's bad, not too bad. It's awesome view. That's what the 47-year-old need. And then I came with that. My lake. Just fun, fun to get up there. Beautiful. Yeah.
Have you ever been in Mohawk?
We hunt.
Yeah.
You have to just say under your name, it says busy.
Yeah, quite a.
There's a place you go in and, take a right before the general store. We went that road, it's gravel for about 25 miles. There's a place up there, a ranch called Grouse Creek. Mark, over there, there's a spot that comes out on the road and you look down about 30 feet and it's the river. You have to take your steer tire of your truck and run along a Jersey barrier buried in the road. So you can clear your pump trailer around this huge rock cut.
Yeah, and I just see
And we got there,
gibberish, you know, but it's-
I took sober off,
I have to know how to do it, I think.
and we had like zero, well, we had to chain out, get it flat. And then it was like gorgeous, all right, get down and,
Technical difficulties.
no snow. We go that way.
That's what happens when they update the system when you're gone.
Yeah. It's like, I've been there in February, it's 67 degrees. It's just, it's a whole different world down there. And beautiful country.
So then you turn, back to west.
Yeah,
So that's right.
Actually came down west of Valley.
So all of this.
But anyway, they didn't go to Jewel Lake. This,
Oh, no, okay.
so if you go, the little lake right there.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Okay, I can see you guys just fine. I don't know why I can't join from my computer though, so I'm gonna leave my camera off, but
Then you come, okay, that's,
Yeah,
that's,
side
that's
door.
right.
I joined with the regular link.
When we came down here on the bottom. of the west
Yeah, it's interesting, but yeah, we can hear you and I can see your name. I just, as long as we can hear you, we can get started because you're the most important one to have here anyway.
All right. Sorry about that.
Nope, that's absolutely fine. I'll get Christian to look at it when he's back here again, because I've had all kinds of issues with tech because they did all the updates.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Okay, all right, 7:11, we'll call the meeting to order. Welcome, Amanda, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. We'll go ahead and start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. All right, we will begin with the election of board officers, starting with the board member oath of office. Tyler, welcome. Glad to have you here. I'll go ahead and read this up.
Yeah, we gotta do Tyler and Drew both.
Okay. Any elected or appointed board member must qualify by taking an oath of office before assuming the duties of office. The oath of office will be in the following form. I, Tyler Hufford, Drew Martin, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Oregon, and the laws thereof, and the policies of the North Powder School District, AJ. I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of office of school board member to the best of my ability.
Well, you'll get signed somewhere on that bottom, you just give them back to Lucas, we'll put them in the working book. Is there something?
You're welcome, man.
Thank you guys for doing that.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda will be elect the chair of directors for the 25-26 year.
I move Lucas Gray, the chair of directors for 25 and 6 year.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded by Justin Bingham, seconded by Drew Martin. I am elected as chair of directors for 25-26. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. I'll be the chair. I'm moving on to elect the vice chair.
Nominate Justin Bingham.
You good with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay. Been nominated by Drew Martin, seconded by Tyler Hubbard, that Justin Bingham is the vice chair for the board of directors for 25-26. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. We have no student body and we have no Al tonight, so we'll move on to the seismic project update.
So things are going really well. We have torn everything apart that needs to be torn apart and actually putting it all back together now. They'll be here next week. If you go over there and do a walkthrough, they had to cut 3 feet wide and one room probably 8 feet to 10 feet long, the other room the whole width of the staff room. Concrete out, and they got to fill it, put piers in it, and then backfill it, pour concrete. Because they had to move that wall in, so they basically have to put a support pillars underneath that wall they're building. And so that's been a little bit of a hang up because we had to wait for some test results to get back to see if they could use the native material and compact it, or if they'll bring in material to fill it and compact it. And fortunately, after about 10 days, we got a response to use the native material. Because that would have helped us up if we had to do a different material, because then you have to send it in for inspection, make sure it's will fit their requirements as well. So we're on track to be back, back in school with the elementary moving in the week of the 8th and the students starting the 15th. The only two minor hiccups there's going to be is they have to put an expansion joint in between the two buildings that goes on the roof. It's a roof cap that allows, should there be any seismic activity, it allows the buildings to move, but that joint moves with it so that rain stuff won't leak through, it won't get where it's not sealed. That won't be here until sometime after the 5th. It doesn't stop us from occupying the building because it'll still be watertight. It's just getting that joint up there. And then the only other thing is the 5th, they were supposed to get the tiles because they've got to replace tiles, and they had a special order because you can't find those little 1 foot by 1 foot tiles anymore. They have the holes punched all over in patterns. And so they did it. Like I said, it's a special order. That's why it's going to take a while for them to get here. But they'll put those in the week everybody's moving in. And so the good news is we're under budget. The different things we've done as change orders, et cetera, have taken some of the contingency down, but with everything done and not thinking we're going to find anything else, we still have over $18,000 in contingency. If we don't spend it, we have to send it back. So I've been trying to think all kinds of things I can bring now. I just hate sending money back, but there are some things that I got talking about that I didn't think about till after we met today. Because they had to tear out some chalkboards and that kind of stuff when they tore out walls. Probably that money could be used to replace the chalkboards and stuff that they had to destroy. We took all the whiteboards down, but those chalkboards were movable. Couldn't take them down. So I'll talk to them about that on Monday. Other than that, it is going really well. Get done, feel free to go over and do a walkthrough. You guys went through it last time. It's changed quite a bit since then. They're sheeting all the inside now. They actually put the PVC, it's the roofing, it's the type of roofing cover they put on it. So the PVC, the roofing they're putting on sounds like a 20-year life expectancy. Probably lasts longer than that, but it was go with the cost effective and one of the longest lasting that they have. So and I don't know how many came in that way and look at it as you're going, but the new siding they're putting on is really nice compared to the siding. So it'll be nice when it's done, but it's been a process.
Good to hear that, and under budget as well, that's awesome. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Did everybody get a chance to look at last month's minutes? Last 2 months. I didn't see that. Yeah, that looks great. Other than that, I think it looks good.
Wasn't that bad?
Oh, my name's Lewis, which is funny because my nephew and niece call me Uncle Lou. So that works. We'll just change that correction.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine. Okay, is everything look good on that? Okay. All right, we will move on to the financial report. Amanda, how are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Good.
I'm having some technical difficulties, so I guess I'll have to contact my IT guy as soon as I get off this call. He's not far. He's not far away, but he's not coming to help. All right. So the financial report for June, this is a preliminary financial report. Not a whole lot of revenue came in the actual month of June. We have collected quite a bit of accounts receivable in the beginning of July, so we'll kind of see these financials swing a little bit. But the general fund did collect about $8,700 in property taxes, close to $4,500 in interest. And then I did invoice the ESD for the Run design team, which is the regional education network design team that the school has. And they reimburse us for those payroll costs, which is fabulous. Special revenue, hot lunch fund collected close to $3,000. The bond property tax collection came in around $11,000. And then Mr. Dunton has been working on receiving donations for a track. And so we're seeing those kind of trickle in here and there. Some larger checks that went out the door this in June were a lot of grant, mostly seismic checks. So we had a handful of permits that went out the door for the city of LeGrand and Union County. Custom ink, we did start summer school, so we purchased some swag for kids and staff. The regular loan payment for Community Bank and some nursing services. Again, McCormick Construction with the seismic grant, and ZCS with the seismic grant as well. As you kind of move through the financial report, you'll see that our projected ending fund balance at the moment, mind you, this is prior to any audit adjustments or journal entries that we're moving to close some grants out here in the next probably 45 days. So our projected ending is came in a little bit closer to 1.2. We do have some movement from the general fund that does need to be made to the hot lunch fund to make that whole. I didn't get the full amount fully moved over there this year, so there's about an additional $50,000 that needs to be moved into the hot lunch fund. So we'll see that reduction there. Other than that, things did look pretty good throughout the year. I think where we see some negative free balances in some of those function level expenditures just is from either people moving around as I was budgeting or just probably things like that. Other than that, things look pretty good. We underspent our budget, which is fabulous. We love to see that. And then we are requesting a lot of grant money right now. So we'll kind of see our accounts receivable make these grant funds come whole. So things are looking good. We did have Kylie out in the building a couple weeks ago. She went through interim field work. She didn't have much to say, just making sure we were making our approvals correctly. So things are being signed off at the district or purchase orders are being created. And then we were signing off. She just kind of looked at our internal controls during that couple week period. So she'll be back out at the beginning of October to do final field work, and we'll have probably more in-depth conversations then. But things are looking good, and we were glad to see the school year kind of come to a close.
Amanda, I've got a question, and maybe this is old news, but I better ask on it anyway. I'm just looking at the page one, and there's on the right side column says spent 2020, 2021, and then it has four different rows there for 2021 all the way down to 23, 24. What's the
on the right hand side of that? Okay, yep.
on the right hand side?
Yep.
What's why the difference, such a big difference between 22, 23, and 23 and 24? What was that? What happened then?
ESSER funds. We got that large ESSER grant probably. And so we have that swing of ESSER money coming back in. So 2020, 2021, we received all those grants and we started funneling people out. And then as we started shifting people back in, we saw that swing. That's probably the biggest hitter on that, but I can dig deeper into that too.
It's not a huge deal. I'm just trying to understand why that's a pretty big difference there.
Yeah.
Years ago, but I'm just trying to figure that. And so what's our 24, 25 going to look like?
Our projected 24, 25 is a little over $5 million.
So that left hand column right there.
That's what the
the estimated expenditures and encumbrances.
Okay, 5,052,000.
Yeah,
Which I'm pretty sure, manager, I'm pretty sure what happened is we got all those extra funds, we consciously decided to use those personnel and backfill. And then 2022-23 was the last year that we actually could use those. 23-24, we started moving people back in, right, Amanda?
yeah,
And so that's what happened is people that we were paying out of grant money moved back into general fund money. And we did that consciously in order to build our budget so that we'd be able to sustain a few years regardless of what happened budget wise.
Amanda?
Yeah.
On the state school fund estimates, is it still staying around that 423.40? Have they gave any updated estimate on it?
I do have an updated estimate. I have not put it on here. Let me see if I can pull it. I do believe the ADM has gone down since then because that is what they projected for the next year. Let's see here. Okay, so currently they're projecting it at, actually it hasn't. Oops. I told you I was having technical difficulties tonight. Now you're making me work my computer.
Sorry.
Okay, no, you're fine. You're fine. Okay, so the 6/16/2025, so it has updated just a little bit, but not too much. So we entered our ADM breakout, and it was the gain of a handful of kids. So they're going to pay us next year off of 438.64 ADMW, which is weighted. Which means they're not bigger. They're like, wow, 5,000 kids. 255 kids is what they'll pay us for.
Kids, 438.40.
Yeah, so that's weighted. So they look at, they give you the raw kid count that we submitted to ODE is 255. And then there's a handful of other things that go into weight. To weight it. So it's like poverty, IEP kids, English language learners. What else is in here? IEP students. And then if you have a remote elementary school or a small high school, which we have both, we are weighted on that as well. So that all those things add to the 255 kids. We really try to watch both the ADMR, which is one-to-one kid, and then how far that pushes us on the bell curve for small high school and remote elementary. So.
Nope, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Good. Okay. All right, thank you, Amanda.
You bet.
Okay, moving on, we have a letter of resignation. Dear Lance Dixon, while I am sincerely grateful for the opportunity to teach at North Powder this year, I have chosen not to renew my contract for the 25-26 school year. I wish everyone health and happiness in years to come. Respectfully, Gregory Rollins. There's no other questions. Is there a motion to approve consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second? Okay. It's been moved by Justin Bingham and seconded by Tyler Hubbard to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. No old business. So we will move on to new business with the start of the organizational motion.
So I'm just gonna go through these individually, things we go through every year. is set the regular monthly school board meetings, the fourth Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m. in the boardroom. December meeting is held if needed. April, May, June, and July, we will meet at 7 o'clock. That's the time when you guys are busy. It's not raining, so busier when it is raining. I'm not sure which way it goes, but only thing that probably will change, just so you're aware, and I mentioned it to a couple people before we started, is we've been meeting in this room for the last couple of years. This is going to be converted into the fitness room because we're going to move the special ed room into a larger room due to the high needs kids. So room 106, which is just down the hallway, is where we'll start having more meetings probably starting next month. That used to be the certificates room.
This room's gonna be what?
It'll be the fitness room, so they'll move that staff fitness room equipment all over here. We have 2 rooms that are, because of, last year we had that halftime position because of Mrs. Craig. And that's what Mr. Rawlings. We increased Tiffany Bevan to full-time and did not replace Mr. Rawlings. We're doing Spanish deal through VLA. And so it opened up a room, a time when we have a need, because when you put 6 special ed kids at the elementary in that little room that we made, that's great. But then when you throw a high needs kid in there, it's hard to control. It makes it really, really hard for the teacher and the other kids to learn. So it'll be converted, but we're not gluing the tar carpet. It's going to have a rubber mat here. They'll go over the carpet. We're not gluing it down. In the room they have over there, they glued that down. So now if you ever fold it up, you fold the carpet up too. But because of the high needs student, it's not bad to have that down there because he has a tendency to throw himself around, throw himself on the ground.
So explain to me what we have in the different, it seems a little bit crazy to me that we're taking a classroom for teacher fit, like, we really have that much extra space.
Well, what you're doing,
It seems kind of nuts.
what you're doing is not taking a classroom, you're trading a classroom.
Okay, so
So right now, in the modular, there is the fitness room. It takes an entire classroom that years ago was the special ed room. They're gonna move that over here, so you don't have elementary special ed kids coming over to this building. Because that would be a nightmare getting back and forth across the street and everything else, consume a lot of time. So they'll move that over here and they're gonna open that room up for special ed to be in.
So the modular is gonna be the special ed room.
Yeah.
And what's the sped shed now?
Sped shed will become where we move our maintenance people and get them out of the old building. Because right now, they're still in the basement of that building over there. It's not the best place to be able to stay that way. And so you're not losing a room. You're just swapping one room for another room where you have it hosted.
Well, put it this way, we're taking a room out of high school, it's a room, and it's not learning, it's not for students, it's for teachers. That seems a bit nuts to me.
The dynamic we have is we don't have a need for it this year because of staffing changes we've made. You literally have Mrs. Dixon who taught math in this room. So this room was pretty well vacant most of the time last year. Mrs. Dixon taught math in this room. Because of changes that have been made, her math room is down the hallway. Mrs. Colton's right next to the door. They're teaching the advanced math. And so a room that was barely used now is not used. Years ago, I could play probably even a little better for Spartans. When we had Mrs. Tonak halftime, she used that room half the day and the rest of the day said it. And so when we didn't hire her back, Mr. Rawlings would replace him with a person, because we're going to use the VLA and have it dual credit that way. Then we have the Spanish room that used to have somebody halftime in it empty. That will become the junior high classroom for Mr. Livermore. So this will be the empty room. So we're just going to convert the empty room for now in a manner that makes it easy to change down the road. Okay, because I know 2-3 years from now, things are going to shuffle and move again and rooms are going to be different.
Yeah, I mean, as long as all the teachers that the teacher are happy with, their space, and we really, it's fine. I mean, it's not a position on somebody else's classroom. It's less than ideal. I mean, I wouldn't be happy if the sped shed is being used and we were taking this for,
No, we looked at actually moving the fitness room into that shed. There is no way.
No, I'm fine with that as long as it's not,
That fitness room is, if you go back to it, that's all been done with grant money.
Oh, I know. No, I know.
Hundreds of thousands now.
No,
One
I don't
time
have
we
any problem
talked
with
about, at one time we talked about moving it over here, and that's when we built the shed. Problem is due to our high need students now, the shed, it's just not able to. I'll say, I told you guys that, we already had somebody put their head through the wall 3 times.
It served its purpose.
And it may serve the purpose that way again. But it's just making the transitions for now to make it suit best and get them in their room. And actually, they won't be isolated anymore. They'll be side by side with 2 other teachers that never met. So
Sounds good.
okay, the board's legal advisor is OSBA and Lumber Law Firm. The insurance agent of record is now called Accusure. Accusure is what Clark & Clark used to be. Same people, just different name. The designated depository of district funds is Spokane Teachers Credit Union, which used to be Community Bank, so it's changed names. Designated deputy clerk is Amanda Lapp, DSD. Designated authorized signature withdrawal funds is Lance Dixon, Denise Kelly, Amanda Lapp, Desi McGinn, and Molly Smith. All checks require 2 signatures. Bonding amounts for Lance Dixon, Molly Smith, and Desi McGinn bonded from $50,000 to $100,000. Review of district fees, Lance Dixon, Desi McGinn, Amanda Lapp, and Denise Kelly. Lunch fees have to be increased slightly, so if you look at it, you'll see that they went up 10 cents. That's been happening throughout the last 4 or 5 years until we get to the state approved rate, which we're almost there. And so hopefully we'll see that stop climbing. But reality is we keep increasing them so that we get to the state rate, but lunch free for everybody still. So if we ever have to go back to paying because we don't get lunch free, then these are the costs we'll have. Student body fees didn't change. Elementary is $25, middle school and high school is $35. Designated paper of record is Lorraine Server and Baker City Herald. They both still exist, even though it's one and the same. I think everything's digital now. Designations, Lance L. Dixon, Chief Administrative Officer, Custodian of Funds, Budget Officer, and Grant Applications, authorizing the ability to apply for grants. Alan Glover, Asbestos Control Supervisor, Health and Safety Plan, School Plan, and Lead Paint. The official auditor of record is Cochran McClintock LLC. Designated voluntary student insurance program is Myers, Stephen, and Tooney and Company. We've been using them ever since I got here. Appointing federal programs advisor, Lance Dixon. Confidentiality supervisor of employees, Alan Glover, Desi Bright McGinn, and Molly Smith, which that's just basically they're confidential because they're administrative positions. Appoint the current school board members as the contract review board for the district. And that is your organizational motion.
You just move to adopt the whole.
Yeah, you just adopt the organizational motion.
Move that we adopt the organization motion as presented.
It's been moved by Drew Martin and seconded by Justin Bingham to approve the organizational motion as presented. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is cell phones for executive order.
So in the back of your packet, it's like the second to the last handout you have. There is a small PowerPoint presentation that came from the state. And I'm just going to kind of summarize. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but what basically happens, the governor passed an executive order that said you cannot use cell phones in public schools, public charter schools, from bell to bell, which means from the time school starts to the time school ends. And that's created a little bit of stir in the state. I sent a letter to the Oregon Department of Education on Monday because my question is, how are we going to enforce that during lunchtime? Lunchtime is students' free time. If you're going to say you can't use your cell phone, what's going to happen is we're going to have everybody leaving campus. You're going to have less people eating lunch here, or they're going to go sit and isolate themselves in their trucks or cars. And my concern to them was we shouldn't be doing something that creates a better mental wellness atmosphere and healthier environment that also has a negative impact at times during the day. You need to weigh both sides of it. And so if you remember right, last year we went to our procedures with no cell phones, and it was you could use them before school, after school, and at lunchtime. Worked fairly well. The new guidance though, and so you'll get more information as comes. I have a meeting tomorrow morning with COSA, and they're going to go over some updates to this. The new guidance was kind of put in place. This is the governor's executive order. Now we'll figure out all the details. And so that's what we're working our way through. But by October 31st, the board has to pass a policy. In that policy, you'll outline what the expectations for the policy are and what exceptions there may be. For example, IEP students that need them, students with health plans. Because I know my son, we've got a couple students that way too. They have with their diabetes, they use their phone to manage and run their phone. Students are taking college classes that have to have their phone to dual authenticate or be able to log into their college class. Along with that, we have students in those college classes that, because of the way we set things up for various reasons, you can email in-house. So I can email my teacher, etc., but I can't email people on the outside. Well, if you're taking a college class, you need to communicate with the college professor, then you got to use your personal email because your school email won't work. And so we're working our way through those kind of details. But the reality is, last year we put something in place from the district's perspective. This year, whatever we put in place, we'll have to follow whatever policy the board puts in place. And OSBA is working on designing a policy. One of the things that I'm trying to get through to OSBA and to the state is being able to be a little bit flexible, and it's here are the exemptions and other things as deemed appropriate by administration. Because as sure as we get going with this, something's going to come up that won't work. We're going to have to let you use your cell phone. And I don't ever like the idea that we're violating policy, so let's make policy work in a way that we can approve it if it's October 31st, have to have a policy. January 1st, it goes into effect. One thing I will tell you, you'll see schools that are buying those phone bags that magnetically seal and you keep your phone in those. You've got schools that are collecting them all at the office. By the current guidance, you can store them in your locker shut off. You can store them in your backpack shut off. So I don't think we're really going to have to do anything different than we've been doing, other than come up with a policy and come up with where certain times of the day fit. So I will keep you posted as that comes. But right now, OSBA has not sent us out a sample policy because, like all of us, they're waiting to see what the final guidelines are going to be.
Any questions on that? All right, next item on the agenda is the ZCS proposal for writing the seismic grant on the shop.
So you have this paper, it's got ZCS heading on it. Basically, what they want to do is they want to be able to write a seismic grant for us to be able to go through and do a complete seismic rehab of the shop out there. That shop used to be an old bus facility that was converted into a shop. If you remember right, then they had the bus barn off the backside, and we tore that off and put a metal shop in there. But it's still a freestanding masonry. It's still not fitting very well. The entire HVAC system for collecting dust, et cetera, is all pre-suspended from ceilings and stuff. And so when they went through and did that, they would do a lot of stuff like they've done in their other buildings. They would retro everything, make it seismically sound. They would secure all the HVAC or place it inside the walls. Now, there's two parts to this, because that's the conversation I had today, because I still got our $18,000 of contingency to help pay for the next seismic grant. They won't let you do that because you got to use it for the current seismic grant. But there is potential, if you remember the TAP grants that we get. We got the TAP grant a year or so ago for have somebody come in and do all the asbestos inspection and that kind of stuff, and send our staff to training. Well, we did the elementary, we applied for the TAP grant. You can apply for it every 2 years. If you remember right, we didn't get the elementary grant the first year we applied, so they resubmitted it and got it the second year. So there's also the thought that we may be eligible for another TAP grant if we are able to pay for this. If not, because they already did some assessment of that facility when they were doing all of our other facilities for the TAP grant, it would normally cost $9,000 for them to write the grant. They would charge $4,500, so half that fee to do the grant process for us. I asked him today what kind of money we'd be looking at if we were to receive the grant for the shop, and he was pretty certain it'd be close to $1 million to redo that shop. 1.9 million for the elementary. The biggest reason for the difference is it's based on occupancy. So obviously the more classes and the more periods and everything else you have in the facility. But we can also do things like when they have their FFA banquets, their FFA meetings, their officers meetings. Those are all times outside the normal school setting when people are in there. So that all calculates into, just like when we did the seismic grant for gym, we calculated in ball games, classes, and all kinds of things. And so he was fairly certain that, they'll try for the 2.5, but obviously we only got 1.9 and something that big, so he doesn't think we'll get the 2.5. But he's saying he thinks it'd be close to $1 million. So my biggest issue is we can proceed and say, yes, we'll pay the 4,500 and then make it out of that grant. Or we can say, yes, we'd like to proceed with this, let's see if we get the top grant, and if not, we'll make a final decision.
Which we know at the time.
You won't know about the TAP grant, so this is not something that will happen in the next year. You won't know about the TAP grant once they submit it. If they submit it this year, you'll find out probably in March. And then we'll start planning just like we did. So it'd probably be the following summer before you would start carrying into the shop. If you wait a year, then you're gonna be 2 years out before you carry something. I do think it would be worthwhile from my perspective, the fact that once you submit it, if you don't get it, you don't have to pay for it again. They just keep resubmitting it until you don't get it. And the dynamic being is there's some thought of what we want to do with adding vocational classes in the future. Do we get some automotive, diesel mechanics, those kind of things out here? We need to revamp some of that shop if we're going to move forward with some of that stuff.
Lance was talking to me about. Pretty solid chance we'll get to receive a grant.
We will know. I mean, I can probably send you guys an email next week, letting you know if we're going to qualify for the TAP grant. Because Gloria, who's run this, she's ran all 3 of the projects we've done so far. She's still in charge of it, and basically it comes down to Mark from ZCS, Mark Smith, is going to contact her on Monday and see where we are in the process of, are we qualifying for the TAP grant again this round, or is it one round out? So, and they're pretty flexible. I mean, they really want to work with us because they've had good success here. Remember at ZCS, they were the engineers that did the gymnasium facility. They did the TAP grant assessment of the old facility when we were doing all of the, along with Scott, when we were doing all of the getting ready to build this building. They were doing all the evaluation of the old building. And then obviously they got us the grant for this facility. That's pretty much where they spend their focus of doing these grants around the state for schools.
Long term, I started talking about this. See. More in the trade, more we can develop that, improve that.
And so we'll need a motion, and my recommendation would be the motion that we approve the $4,500 if we don't qualify for the TAP grant. Because I still want to see if we qualify for that.
Move that we allocate $4,500 for the seismic. Shop. For a second.
It's been moved by Drew Martin, seconded by Justin Bingham to move forward with $4,500 for ZCS if we do not get TAP grant funds. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. School band.
Okay. This one's a little trickier. That school band, since we can't use it with students, probably has been used once in the last year. So basically it's sitting out there, not utilizing it. Originally I was going to recommend, let's just see if we can sell it. But in the last 2 days, we've been in contact with, I think his name's Robert Gates, or not Gates, Robert Bates. He runs Legacy over in Lorraine. He has a little bit of guilt because he sold a very similar van to Nixie Highway 2, and neither school can use them now. And so he appraised that van at $19,500. What he would like to do, which the bonus to us and the bonus to him is pay us back the $19,500, but have us rent the van from him. It'll stay on our property, but since now we're renting it from them and using the money that we get back to rent it with, we could rent it for probably 5 years. Then we would be able to use it to transport students, et cetera, because it's not part of our school fleet. It's actually belongs to somebody else and we're borrowing. If you remember when we first got that, I kind of explained that to you at the time. If I was to buy it, I could loan it to the school all day long. But the school can't use it because it doesn't qualify as a type 10, type 20 or school bus.
So it's on that, it's on Legacy's insurance policy.
Yeah, everything would be theirs. Maintenance would be theirs. They put it in the garage. You know, the reality is, we can see if we can get $19,000 out of it, apply that towards something different. Or they're willing to say, we'll just give you the $19,000 and turn around and lease it back.
Will we, but do we use it? I mean, will it be?
It would be used a lot if we had it. You know, I was thinking about this, I was actually visiting with my wife because I had the same question. Because it was, when he first presented, it was like, we'll charge you $13.70 a day. And that's just a standard daily fee, use it as much as you want, little you want, whatever. But if you don't want to do it that way, then they charge you like $80 to rent it. And I was going, well, $80 times 100 days, that's $8,000. 1370 days, like $5,000 a year. And, but then I got to think about, well, do we even use it 100 days? Well, you start going back to the camps that you guys went to, if that van would have been available, we used it. The volleyball team would have used it for their camps. Seth would use it for at least 3 weeks with basketball games during the summer. FFA rented a van from Legacy when they went to the state convention, and they could have took that and we could have used it. And so as I look at it, I think it would get used a lot. And then what we would do, because and I'll get that and I get the big one, I'll just talk about both together. Our Suburban that we get from Mid-Columbia, it's been acting up a little bit. It's 2008. When you turn the key, sometimes it'll start the first time, sometimes you have to turn it 2 or 3 times. Sometimes it sounds like the battery's dead and it barely turns over, and then you turn it again, it'll start. They went and filled it up, and Lucas was telling me about which pump to use now, so I at least have that on there. But it's like, you go to fill it up and you put 50 cents in, it clicks off, and you start it, you put $1 in, it clicks off, and start it, put 50 cents in, it clicks off. And so there's just lots of things I told him. I said, A, you need to come get it and service it. And B, if we're going to keep using you guys for a vehicle, we need one big Corona. Because the reality is, paying that money per year to have that vehicle here, when nobody has a good feeling that they can really use it and get to point A and back, it just doesn't get used the way it should. And so they said, well, we'll look into getting you a 2020, 2021, and it might raise your CPI a little bit. But, well, my issue is, if we can use the van through Legacy for the next 5 years, we've already got the contract for this year with that Suburban. But what I do is say, okay, we'll honor that for this year if you can get us one that runs. But after this year, we don't need your Suburban anymore. Because the van will haul 14 people.
And the way that would work with the van is, folks could drive it. Whereas,
Yeah, actually, you still have to turn your license stuff, but it simplifies it. Because it's no longer a school vehicle that you gotta fill out your paperwork to get reimbursed on. You gotta get the inspections. That's what really hit us this year, is they were doing all the bus inspections. Anything that will haul more than 12 people is not I-10. So, and the only way we get that fixed is send it back to Detroit and have them take 2 seats out, put a different VIN stamp on it, which is not gonna happen. It's not. And so I think if we had the van going, because they did use it quite a bit when it ran, when we could use it. Other thing is, it's only got 55,000 miles on it. So you've got a motor, a vehicle, everything that's in a lot better shape than anything we're getting from Mid-Columbia.
and we've got confidence in the van, right?
Yeah, we got confidence in the van, and honestly, we already have studs for it, so it's not like we'll have to buy studs. Because we have studs that we would put on during the winter, so people felt safe driving it. The only thing the van has a little bit of, but you get used to it, it's got a little more sway than other vehicles, just because how tall it is. But it stays to the road pretty good. I mean, a few years ago, when Reese's class went on our senior trip, we rented a van, I drove a van, and we took that white van all the way to Phoenix, and it did just fine.
I like that, the van, being able to use the van, I think, to save the trip for you guys. We need something, we need something we can rely on, this road stuff.
Maybe I don't want to, I enjoyed that trip. Okay, I'm just- No, but I do think it would be used. It's, I think the biggest problem we have, the 99 people, they have no confidence. The 2008, they have little confidence, but not a lot. The van, everybody here is driven it and knows it runs.
Do we need a motion for you to go?
I would make a motion, because then what I will do is continue to work with Legacy. Fortunately, Mr. Dutton knows the guy personally, so we've been kind of working with the 3 of us. And, you know, what I'm gonna shoot for is, I know he's thinking charging us X amount per day. I'd like to shoot for, I know you pay us a 19.5, we will lease it back from you, but we want 5 years. That makes it a little less than 1370 or a little less than $8 per year. And 5 years from now, then people decide if they want to do with it, or if they just want to keep leasing one, or if they want to lease a newer one from them.
So moved.
there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Drew Martin and seconded by Tyler Hubbard that we go ahead and sell the school van back to Legacy and then lease it as needed. Or rent it as needed. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Get a check.
Well, and the good news is, so to make this clearer, it will stay right here. So even though we're renting, leasing, whatever, it will be on our ground all the time.
This is unanimous. I think that makes sense.
I've already explained Mid-Columbia, so we really don't need a motion for that. I'm just gonna move forward with give us something that works better or we're not on a contract. And to give us something that works better or we're not on a contract is now.
Yeah.
If you give us something that works better, we'll honor this year because we worked it, yes. But it's only gonna be a 1 year. So I have a feeling they're not gonna get better vehicle 1 year. And they're not gonna be able to get us anything better than, so we may be telling them, you can't price vehicles we trust, so we don't want that anymore.
Yeah, well, in the contract, they need something around.
Yep.
So. With the contract there. Okay, well, thank you, Lance. That makes a lot of sense. Board beginning school breakfast.
And I put September 3rd as a tentative day because this year, due to the building project, we don't start in service till September 2nd, which is a Tuesday. So September 3rd is that Wednesday. We can do it Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, but normally you guys do the practice for the staff on the second day when they're in service, so.
Usually where we show up, Tyler.
Most of the
And they basically, they've got 90%. He says, just don't make a big mess and scramble up some eggs. I'll get some bread.
Be in charge of the salsa.
Yeah.
That's us.
Salsa seems to have been, I've been doing it. Yeah, we're not going on with that.
Yeah. Nobody's complained or got sick yet, I hope.
And they tell me that's some tough skill. Tells me,
Molly might have been able to log in, let's see here.
I got taken off the scramble. When you're Jason Holmes.
I'm here, Lance.
Oh, good. It's not notified me tonight, so. Good.
Okay, well, superintendent report.
So most of you know by now that we have filled the advanced math position. Mrs. Colton's gonna come out of retirement for 1 year and teach math for us. And I'm excited about it. Yeah, I was extremely shocked when I sent her a text message kind of begging and saying, I think I already know the answer, but if you don't ask, you don't know. And she said she was interested. So we worked our way through it and she would be back working for a year. Mid-Columbia, their CPI for this year, it was only 3.9%. I can print it off and send it to you guys, but really it didn't raise anything but probably 8 cents an hour for their mileage and stuff, because our mileage with drivers, mileage. When they charge us mileage, it's like you'll pay $2.09, well now it's gonna be $2.17. So it's not a huge increase. State assessment summaries, I put these in your packet, because I know every once in a while we get into, we'd like to know more about what's going on, how things are going. And so you got this colored chart that actually has math assessments and your ELA assessments. And the thing I like about it is when you look at it, you can see, for example, the very first column with 3rd grade, the state average in mathematics is 40%, but the school average for our district was 48%. So we're above the state average. But what I like to look at on top of that is not only are we above the state average, but when you look down in the red, those are your kids that are not close to me, probably your tier 3 kids. But you'll see our red is a lot less than the state average. And so you'll even find some, for example, 4th grade, the state average was 37% and we were only at 27%. But you'll still notice our lowest group is less than the state's. And so while our kids don't have quite as many that are meeting or almost meeting that middle area of yellow, which is the kids that are getting 2s, 3s, that is still larger than what the state average is. So as you go grade by grade, 5th grade, we're above the state average in mathematics. 6th grade was quite a bit below. And I attribute that a little bit to we got a long-term sub this year with the normal teacher not being in the classroom. So the You get seventh grade, we're 1 percentage point above the state average. You get eighth grade, we're way above the state average. And then 11th grade is right close to the state average. But again, when you look at the 20% versus the 20%, 21%, and you look at the area that's covered in red and everything that's above that, we have a lot more that are above that area, just not as many that have met. And so we got a lot of students that are a lot closer. And you'll see the same thing when you look at ELA. You got, third grade's 41% for state, 39% for us. But again, if you look at the chart, our lowest kids are way less than what state average is. You get fourth grade, state average is 42%, we're at 47%. Fifth grade, 47% state, 45%. But it's the same thing. The yellow and the green are a lot larger than state, the red's a lot less than state. And so I thought it was just a good visual to you go through and see where we are. But there are some grades, for example, when you look at the 11th grade ELA, the state average is 47%, we're at 65%. And that's the one thing I always try to get through with the state, but I haven't really got them to listen yet, because by the time that kids get to graduation, we have anywhere from 94 to 100% year after year after year. We get them from point A to point B, we have a high percentage that's meeting by the time they get there. Frustration I have is years ago with the OAKS assessment, you could take it your sophomore year. If you didn't pass, you took it your junior year. If you didn't pass, you took it your senior year. With the SDAC testing, you take it your junior year and that's it. And it's been suspended for the last few years since COVID, so it's not a requirement to graduate anymore, but they still use it to measure data with.
Lance, why do you think our science, 11th grade science is so much lower than the state average?
I think it's a couple of reasons. One, we have had a hard time filling science positions. And so since we got Mr. Bingham and Mr. Smith in those science positions, I think you're going to start seeing those averages go up. We had Katie Moultrie years ago, who great person. But she was still, when we first hired her, she was still finishing her schooling while she was teaching science. And it kind of seems like we have been through this rotation of 1 or 2 years, we got another science teacher. 1 or 2 years, we got another science teacher. Fortunately, Mr. Bingham took on middle school about 3 years ago. And when he took it over, we even had at one point looked at this Mr. Smith to take all the science and they get more shots. And Seth was pretty adamant he wanted to do science because he enjoyed it and doing a really good job. And I'm going to get to it later anyway in my report, but we have officially adopted science curriculum, so there's new curriculum, online curriculum, everything. And so I think you're going to see that start rising as the emphasis gets put on science. And if I remember right, 8th grade science is going to become one of their new measurement standards for the IG grant. But just like they look at attendance, they look like your 9th grade completers, they look at your 3rd grade on track, they're going to start looking at 8th grade science. And so I've always believed that whatever you hold people accountable to, you'll see change. But it's hard to get change when there's no validity to the assessments for kids. And that's the other thing you face from over the years, Mr. Bingham, is never need a science test to pass the graduate. Whereas you've got, with essential skills, you either have to meet that assessment in reading, language arts, and mathematics to graduate, or you have to meet it in an alternative way, which we did in-house. But science, it's hard to convince kids that you take something serious with. There's not a lot of teeth to it. We need to keep pushing, though. It still plays into when you take your ACT test, your SAT tests, because one of them tests your language arts and mathematics pretty heavily, the other one tests science and mathematics. And so I do think we'll see growth, but I think having some accountability for that growth will help. Irrigation system. Well, I'll go back to the shop. One of the things that happened this year in the spring is we had our insurance company come in with Pace Insurance. Because we have that construction going on and we have that yard over by the old basketball court filled with buildings and chicken coops and half finished, nails sticking out of them, no doors on them, no windows. Basically, Pace Insurance said, you guys either going to have to do something to fence that or start building them all inside and not have them outside. Or your insurance rates are going to go up dramatically if we'll still insure, because they're concerned that this kid's playing and then getting injured. Concern is that you have predators out there that have perfect place to be able to entrap kids, because it's hard to see once you get somebody in a building. I ran kids off myself. I mean, kids are kids. You can build a chicken coop, bigger thing, and build one, crawl through that. And they'll lift the lid up, crawl in and see if they crawl out of the hole. So they're gonna order the fencing. It's $4,584. But it will keep our insurance rates down, make it safer. We will put a 12-foot gate on each side, so they can still move buildings and things out, but when they go home at night, they can lock those gates up and get secured and help protect our liability. We talked about fencing before that. And it's below the 5,000 the board has to approve. You guys know me, something's that much, I'm still gonna let you know.
Appreciate it.
I included, it was the last page in your packet. There's an article on the state of Oregon. But bottom line is that the state of Oregon, the Oregon Department of Education and the OSA are currently under Title IX federal investigation. And I have been watching the outcomes in several other states to where basically it's coming out that you can make laws in your state that are more strict than the federal government, but you can't ignore the federal government's guidelines. And so we'll see what comes out of that. But it's a difficult time because next month we'll be talking about the equity committee that's mandated by the state for every school in the state of Spring. The time when we're still trying to figure out where exactly everything fits. Good news is equity committees for schools are more about, are there any groups of students we're leaving out, any groups of students whose scheduling is conflict because of how we place them. An example would be a couple years ago when we were doing the IT grant, it came up that our ESOL kids that don't speak English as a first language could never take the construction geometry class because their ESOL was always during one period or the other of that. So we modified the schedule the next year so those kids can get construction geometry too. So it's things like that. The word equity has kind of got a bad name, but really it's how do we get every kid where they need to be and how do we treat people equally.
What's that committee? Which one's this? What's the, what's where it's at?
The equity committee is a mandated committee that will have to, I'll be bringing some nominations to you in August, because it'll have to be a board group committee. It's actually in law. And they're a subcommittee to the board to make recommendations when policies come out, et cetera, just to make sure that we're not unintentionally discriminating or getting a group, not thinking about a group, whether it's our special ed kids, our ESOL kids, just another set of eyes to make recommendations that way.
So they're reviewing our policies. So
When you create new policies, et cetera, they might come to you and say, maybe you should think about putting this language in, but there's still a committee to make a recommendation to you that the board still has to. Middle school scoreboards have been ordered, the shot clock's been ordered, they're supposed to be here this month, so hopefully we'll be, the nice part is those things are on winches and pulleys. So we should be able to just lower them down and put the new ones up, and they'll be wireless scoreboards, so we don't have to worry about that plug-in anymore. And all of that has been done with donations or Gates funding. So, summer school, we had 29 students start summer school and 27 students finish summer school, which is really good because, as all of you know, last year was a stressful year for students and staff, and we still had a pretty good sized group of kids coming to summer school. And they had a lot of fun. Some of the field trips they took. I know they went to the bowling alley on a field trip. They went to the movie theater and they showed them how to run the reels. Their theme for this summer school was careers. And so they showed them how they run the old classroom reels and how they do it today. And then they got to stay and watch a movie. They got to go behind the pin deal where they do all the motorized pickups for pins and see how those actually operated and functioned. And it was I've seen it before, but still a treat. Watch how it moves those pins and puts them in the right ways. So they did a lot of that. Went to the butcher shop and got to go through and went to one of the veterinary deals, and they actually, the vet, it was great actually. He took a little stuffed puppy animal, and they stitched candy into the belly, and then had somebody do surgery on the puppy and reach inside. So cool. So there's a lot of neat stuff. Members for the charter community, we talked about that last month. I actually have contacted Mr. Jones, Mrs. Martin, Cheryl, and Margie Lynn, because they were all kind of in that founding group that helped start with the grant. And they've agreed to do it. So now this month, I'll put out a deal that goes out to the community. saying we're looking for a couple of members of our community who might be on the charter, and I'll give a better explanation of why we're doing it. So we can go back and look at what our focus areas were, et cetera. And then be bringing those to you for approval in the August board meeting. I think it will be a good process because it's always interesting what we think as staff and then what parents think that have kids in the programs. We get those two together. Sometimes, I made a comment to you jokingly, but it's kind of true. Now that I don't have somebody directly involved in it, like, well, I don't know everything's going on. Well, it's how do we fix those kind of things as well, so that communication piece is there. And I know with transitions, the new coach is doing great with sending out notices and stuff, doing final forms. But it is different, so I get a little bit better understanding of how some parents feel sometimes. But get that up and running because we were hoping to have people on the committee by August, so we got our first meeting in September and start looking at what our original focus areas were, engineering, or medical science, et cetera. Are those still the focus areas? And if they are, what do we got to do to get there? And even me, looking at that, we became a charter school in 2009. So we've been a charter for 16 years, but never really revisited our original goals and focuses.
Before you flip over, that was the irrigation.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Irrigation, if you remember right, 3 years ago now, I think it was, you approved putting the new pump on that well. And it was one of the, I never get everything. Variable frequency. Then we had a mishap with the pipe exploding, turning out the whole road and everything else. It never happened. And I just had to be able to get somebody back out and called several times, but this time of year it's busy. And they don't want us to come for the pumping in the winter. But I got a hold of Living Springs, Living Waters. I think the guy's name is Tanner. Yeah. And I visited with him. I got his name from one of our local practices that uses him. And he came out and looked at it. He said, putting a variable frequency drive won't help you. Because the reality is you still have to put a new pump in. Your pump is pumping at maximum capacity. Your variable frequency, you can turn it down, but you can't turn it past maximum capacity, which I had no knowledge of until he explained it to me. And I enjoyed him because, he's one that says, I can sell you a $15,000, $20,000 pump, but I don't think you need it. So we put some, let's say R33s. They're a sprinkler head that instead of being the ones that what's the name of the ones that Impact, thank you. Instead of being the Impact sprinklers, they just go around nonstop, but the head has fins in it. And so it sprays a stream and it sprays a spray all the time it's going around. And it's got a smaller orifice. So now over there, we can run 2 sets of hand lines at once without a pressure loss. He's pretty convinced that if the gun we have out here in the field has an 18 millimeter orifice in it, he said if we reduce that down to a 10 millimeter, it'll still give us plenty of water, but it'll also save us on pressure because what's happening is because of the distance we're running water from the pump, we're losing so many pounds pressure. Well, by putting these new heads on and changing the orifice, et cetera, basically what you're doing is making up for the pressure you've lost. And so he's pretty sure if we get it all done, so that's our last piece to do, is we'll be able to run a set of hand lines over there while we run the gun on the field. Or we may be able to run both guns because we need to change the one in the elementary gun to smaller anyway. We may be able to run both guns at once because that's been our biggest headache over the years. If we turn the big gun on, we don't have enough pressure to run anything else. And our well has plenty of water because it's got 187 Scotty foot level. So it's not that dynamic, it's the dynamic that, and he did say before he would ever even put a new pump or drag on it, he would actually probably put a pressure tank on just to increase the amount of pressure you have. So I enjoyed it because it looks like a $600 fix instead of a $15,000 fix, but we'll see how it all comes out in the end. But I do know just the little piece he's done for us already, we can run 2 hand lines, full length that field that we've never been able to run. And water's a lot better. The farm to school CNP non-competitive reimbursement grant, the school got $3,500. That is me, Kayla. Is that Molly? Is that the one you guys went to the workshop for too?
I think that's a different one.
Okay. This one is for buying local produce and foods. And basically you can buy, yeah, we've used it in the past to buy beef, et cetera, in school. But you can buy produce, you can buy beef, you can buy whatever locally. And it's a reimbursable grant, so they'll reimburse it. So, it does help out quite a bit. Usually we end up purchasing the beef and having it butchered, and it all goes through the school and satisfy the money that way, as well as the money, the beef that we get from both the Cattlemen's Association still. And last year we had beef and a pig that came back to us through the fair. So it's nice to know though that there's something out there that's promoting buying from all over people. Told you science adoption, we got done. It's here. The only thing we have left to do is the elementary, which that one's gonna be easy. So, because they all know what they want to use, we just have to officially put it in place this year. So the roses, and this was actually on here from last time, last month, but the roses I gave to Susie Dixon, and I don't usually give her things because she seems to be related to me a little bit. But I'm gonna read this because I was not even aware of this till we got it here at school. It says, "Hello, Susie. I hope this email finds you well. On behalf of Anthony Lakes Outdoor Recreation Association, I want to thank you for your letter of support regarding the Travel Oregon grant. Thanks to you, North Powder School, and other passionate local supporters, Alora has been awarded $150,000 towards the rental shop building project at Anthony Lakes. We couldn't be more thrilled to get this project underway. These funds are the foundation for a much larger capital campaign forthcoming this fall and winter, with the goal of having the new building finished before 2026. I know you are very aware of the need for a new rental shop facility at our local ski area. Without your support, we would be working on these next steps. We wouldn't be working on these next steps. Your support is bringing this project to life and for that, we want to thank you. Travel Oregon sent out a press release, which can be found here, so there was a link in it. And it's got a complete list of the awardees. Again, thank you, and we will keep you updated as this project and campaign progresses. So it's nice to know that we have local people that are helping out line businesses. It's also nice to know that there may in the near future be a new rental shop up there at Ski Resort. And so roses to her. The one I didn't put on here, but I'm going to go ahead and recognize them, is our people who taught summer school. That was Noah Teeker, Susie Dixon, Ashley Stevens, and Antonio Benitez. And as you all know, like I said, last year was very tough. People were burnt out by the end of the year. It was amazing that people still came together and gave up time to go ahead and do summer school. And they spent a month of summer school, 15 days, anywhere from 5.5 to 8.5 hours a day, depending, because the field trips were longer days than normal days. And so they would start at 8 o'clock and get done at 1:30 and breakfast and lunch. I actually went on one of the trips with them for a little bit of it, and it was fun. It was fun to watch the kids. They were enjoying themselves while they were learning.
Great.
It's awesome.
Yeah, glad to hear it.
There's also a nice article about the exchange day.
I think that'll be in March.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome.
All right, principals reported. How are you, Molly?
I'm good. How about you all? Welcome, Tyler.
Good.
Hello.
I don't have too much. I've been working on some grants. So I just have the Peak grant that I finished up today and the Burkle grant. And then Lance talked about a little bit about the Farm to School grant. And so there was a team of us that went down the last week in June. And our goal, we have a lot of goals, but one of the things is to revitalize the garden area. And so we have a lady that is from LeGrand that will be meeting with us in a couple of weeks and going through our goals and trying to help us outline exactly how we're going to accomplish that. So that's super exciting. The big thing was the American Exchange Program. I got to be a part of that for a couple of days, and just an amazing program. It gained a lot of traction around. We had some big name people that came to Eastern Oregon because we're one of 2 schools in Oregon that have that program. And so again, that's just free to seniors. They sign up and they choose their first choice week, second choice week for the summer, and then they try to match them with an opposite size city. So obviously North Powder's small. They sent most of our kids to large towns and then vice versa. We hosted 6 kids from mostly on the other side of the United States, but from larger towns. And the activities that they did were just a lot of fun. I think the kids said the highlight for most of them was the jet boat ride. They went down there, and they also went up to Wallowa Lake. And what they were amazed at was our mountains, as well as the color of the water, because apparently where they're all from, you can't see the bottom of the lake or the water area. So kudos to Jesse for organizing. We had a lot of businesses that gave us discounts or just comped. And so I just thought it was an amazing program, and I think it'll just gain traction. I think that's all I have for my report.
Molly, did you say we are one of only 2 schools in Oregon doing this exchange?
Correct.
And we'll continue to do it?
We will continue to do it. I don't see a downside.
Great. Wonderful.
Yeah.
We said 6 students.
We actually had 7. So Raul Barajas, there was a cancellation, and he, after the deadline, was interested, and Jesse knew that, and so offered the spot to him, and so he got to be our 7th kid. So I think out of 21 for the first year, I think that's a really good percentage, and like I said, I really see this program growing.
Well, that's great. I'm glad it was a positive experience for everybody. That's really neat, really neat. So, all right. Well, thank you for the update. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on to announcements.
So very few, but hard to believe that we're already back to sports getting ready to start up and games getting ready to start. So practice will start middle of this month. They're coming to redo our gym floors and down just refinish them next week. And so we got a volleyball camp going on. I believe it's the 15th of the month, right before they start week before they start their high school practices. But the 28th and 29th is when middle school and high school competition will begin. So we're not that far away. September 2nd is the start of our teacher aid service. It's going back to our calendar. September 8th is when our high school students will start. And that week that they start, the elementary will be moving all their stuff back into the classroom. It seems a little late, but I actually went back and did some investigating, and there have been 2 years when we started on September 6th and September 7th anyway, just because of the way normal years fell. So it is a little late, but it's not like it's horribly late compared to years where the calendar falls that way. September 15th, elementary students will start back. And elementary students will still get 943 hours or something like that for the year, and they only need 900 to meet the elementary standard. We just always had our elementary and middle school, high school go the same amount of hours. We got a message from Desi because she was trying to calculate the hours for state purposes and couldn't quite come up with enough for our high school. And so I went back and calculated and sent it to her. Even ending on the first week of June, the kids will have 998 hours. And that's without using any emergency days. If we used all our emergency days for some reason, they have to go into that week of the 12th, which is shaded in there as a possibility. That puts them like 1,034 hours. So either way, no matter how it works out, we've got more hours than we need to meet the state standard. So it's going to be a different start to the year with the staggered start, but it's going to be a nice, fresh looking building when they get to move into it too.
It's great. Okay, any questions for anyone?
I'm wondering, we've got a big responsibility as far as superintendent. I'm wondering what we need to be doing. You know, what kind of timeline should we be looking like as far as making that all happen? I don't know if that's something we're reading.
I had a breakfast meeting with Mark Mulvihill on Tuesday. And there's been a little bit, obviously it'll be a board decision on if they want to bring him on to do the hiring process.
So we hired him as superintendent.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, tell them.
and I actually, what I was busy with him about was having him come over and help run a procession with the board, because as we look at our strategic plan and our goals, I'm pretty realistic about, I try hard to think outside the box, but after 21 years, you've got things that you just done and been done. And so having a fresh eyes and somebody to visit with the board too will help. So I think that's kind of where our next step is trying to set up a work session right at the start of the school year getting Mark in here. It's no secret that I'm gonna be retiring, but I will give you guys notice early so you can start that actual process. And I think using Mark spearhead that, when I was hired, the superintendent of DSD was George Murdoch. And George Murdoch spearheaded that superintendent search. And so, and you guys all know Mark, he's extremely intelligent, right? Will do a good job. But that'll probably be a contracted service because there's gonna be a lot of meetings when you get to the hiring process, so. So if you want to proceed that way, I'll go ahead and try to schedule a date with Mark and get you guys and start that work session going. And then get things moving forward.
Yes, I think we do that.
No, I agree. That was great. But yeah, get Mark as soon as we can and we'll get the process rolling. No, that's great. All right, any other questions? Okay, perfect. Well, there's no executive, so with that, 8:24, we will go ahead and adjourn.
Perfect.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Molly.
Well, thank you, Molly.
You're welcome. See you all.
Did you get, hey, you got your son home okay?
Yeah, we got him. Yeah, it was good to
Awesome.
put my arms around him.
So you didn't have to sit in that line forever?
No, thankfully, but it was quite a wreck. So, yeah.
That's too bad. Well, I'm glad you guys
Yeah.
made it home safe. Have fun. Have
All
fun
right,
going
thank
up on
you.
Broadway too.
Okay, we'll be in
All
touch.
right,
Thanks.
talk to you later.
Bye.